Hello again and welcome friends. Welcome poolside for the first time for a Doc G's wine and spirits review segment. Why am I by the pool? Well, today's theme is down the shore. And since I can't take you down the shore, I figured that I would bring you down by my pool for today's segment, which is all about wine in New Jersey. And for those of you, and most of you in my group who are from PA, you quite clearly understand what down the shore refers to. So before we begin, clear the throat and let's get started. So what I'd like to do in today's segment, while I stand here and cool off on this hot day, is talk about an area in Jersey called the Outer Coastal Plain. I want to talk about their signature wine, which is called Cur d'Est. I'd like to talk about a few good places for you to visit, since I have actually frequented these places in my travels. And of course, we have to do a little sipping as always. So let's first of all start with the Outer Coastal Plain. The Outer Coastal Plain is an area in New Jersey that comprises most of the southern part of the state all the way down to the Cape May Peninsula. And in wine terminology, it's referred to as an AVA, an American Viticultural Area. Areas that you could relate to probably, if you weren't aware of this one, is the Napa Valley, Sonoma Valley, and the Finger Lakes. Long Island has an AVA in New York, Paso Robles in California, and they're all over the country. So that's what the government uses to designate an area that gives an official title to say a wine comes from a certain AVA. So what I'd like to do for you is, along my travels, rather than reinvent the wheel, I picked up some information. I have a little pamphlet here. It's called the Outer Coastal Plain Association. And let me read to you a couple interesting facts about the Outer Coastal Plain viticultural area in New Jersey. It covers about 2.25 million acres in southeastern New Jersey. It was established all the way back in 2006 by the federal government as an AVA. It's ranked among the top 10 in size in the United States. Then there's over 40 vineyards and 25 wineries. The climate is very conducive. I'm not going to read all the details, obviously, to grape growing, especially influenced by the maritime effects of the Atlantic Ocean and the Delaware Bay. Obviously, the soils are well suited, with them being sandy and gravelly, and it's relatively flat with low hills, which isn't always conducive to wine growing, but in New Jersey it is, because I can tell you, I would not feature an area if I didn't think there were some good wines there for you to drink. And the varieties of grapes that you can get in New Jersey, among the reds are Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, Blaufränkisch, Syrah, Chambourcin, and in the whites, Chardonnay, Viognier, Traminette, Riesling, Albarino, and there's some really good Albarino in Jersey, believe it or not, Vidal Blanc, and Pinot Gris. So that's the Outer Coastal Plain, and that's the area that I'm going to talk about mainly as we, both of these wines that I'm going to sample for you here today are wines from the Outer Coastal Plain that I have had in my cellar for a little bit. So let's focus on the signature wine. Oh, before I do that, one of the things that inspired me to do this spot is in this month's Wine Enthusiast, which is a magazine that I subscribe to religiously. They usually, at the end of every magazine issue, pick out 10 to 12 areas that they like to review wines for. Well, guess who's in this month's edition? Some wines from New Jersey, and some of them getting scores of 89, 90, and higher. So if you happen to be a Wine Enthusiast subscriber, you already know that, but I did want to give some kudos to them for being actually singled out in Wine Enthusiast for their wines. And some of the wineries that I'm going to talk about here are actually in this month's edition for reviews of the wines. So let's talk about, let me start with the red here today. In this bottle, or in this glass, is a wine called Cur French d'Est. And it is from the winery that I am showing you right now, from Sherritt Vineyards in Winslow, New Jersey, which is in the Outer Coastal Plain. And in order to be, and again, this is one of their signature grapes, in order to be considered a Cur d'Est, it has to be all grapes from the Outer Coastal Plain, and there has to be a combination of 6 varietals. It has to contain Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Chambourcin, which is one of the signature grapes of the Outer Coastal Plain. It's kind of a smoky hybrid grape that I'll probably feature at some point in another one. It also has Syrah, Petit Verdot, and Cabernet Sauvignon. So it is their attempt to do kind of like what they do in Bordeaux, make a blend that defines the region. And I'm going to take a sip of this for you right now. It's a nice, deep red. This was a 2015, so it's ageable. A little smokiness on it from the Chambourcin, a little cherry on it from the rest of the grapes. A nice, smooth finish. So at the end, I'll tell you to go to some, but Charette Winery is one of them. They're not the only one that does a Cur d'Est, means Heart of the East. And if you're going to get a signature wine from this area, this is one that you want to get. So what I'd like to do, there really isn't much more to say about it. I would like to relate to you the different wineries that I had the opportunity to visit when I was in New Jersey, the couple times that I've been there visiting wineries. So let me start out with Charette. Charette is a winery in Winslow, New Jersey. It's not really near the shore, but it's on your way down. So all of us that have gone down the shore means maybe a few stops along the way. So that's the Cur d'Est. These get up there a little bit because it's their signature wine. They might go for $25, $30 a bottle, but I'll tell you what, they're really worth it. So let's move that one to the side. The Chardonnay that I'm sampling for you comes from Bellevue Winery, and this is in Landisville, New Jersey, which is inland as well, but it's considered part of the Outer Coastal Plain. I happen to have that here in the glass. Nice oak on it, nice fruit, a little bit of apple, a little bit of, actually getting a little bit of peach maybe. It's a little bit creamy, a little maybe nectarine, peach. It's very good. You would not believe that this is a wine from New Jersey. This winery happens to be a winery called Bellevue, and this is a 2017, and it is aging very well. So we'll get that one out of the way. We'll keep the glass here though. Another wine, let me go back to Charette. One of the things that they do in Jersey is they've got a good fruit production. This wine is actually a peach wine, not something that I would normally go for, but my wife likes to have it, when she has her friends over for, actually pool parties here. And it makes a really nice, this is one that you might even want to put over ice. I actually sampled this one. I'm not a big fan of peach wines or fruit wines in general, but this one is actually quite good, not too overly sweet. Set that one aside. And now we'll go to another winery that we visited. This one is called William Heritage, and they actually have a Cur d'Est here. I haven't tried this one yet, but I'm assuming that it's going to be good. William Heritage Winery is in Richwood, New Jersey, and that's a little bit inland too, kind of on your way back. For those of you that have been down the shore, on your way back, coming back, or when you're going down, it doesn't really matter. Now I want to focus on a couple wineries that are down in Cape May, because if you're going to make the trip, you have to go all the way down to the Cape May Peninsula, and the Cape May Peninsula is kind of a sub-AVA. It hasn't been designated officially yet, but there are a slew of wineries there that include places like Hawk Haven, this nice red. I'll post all of these, or most of them, so that you can see who they are. Another place called Jussey Creek Winery. This is a Chardonnay, beautiful wine. This place is interesting. It's called Natali Vineyards. It's on the way down to Cape May, and they really do a lot of fruit wines, a lot of Italian type grapes. Their wines are a little bit more rustic, and that's my way of saying that they're a little bit rougher, but they're good. Because as I told you before, what I like, you might not like, and what you like, I might not like. So my advice is always just go let your palate determine what it is that you like. So finally, the King of Wineries down there, and one that is, it's in North Cape May, and this was a $50 bottle of wine. I don't usually like to mention that, but this is their Nebbiolo, which is a grand Italian grape. That is used in a lot of great Italian wines. And this one is made at a place called Turdo Vineyards. And they do a lot of Italian grapes, some Greek grapes, they do some Spanish, they do a great Albarino. The only problem with them is they close up about October, like a lot of places down the shore, and you've got to try to get their wines as soon as you can. Very small place, family oriented, an excellent place to be. So that's kind of it for New Jersey. I don't want to say it. It is a region worth your time. For those of you who are my Pennsylvania friends in this Facebook group, next time you go down the shore, do yourself a favor. Pick out a few of these wineries, and again, I'll post some information about the Outer Coastal Plain for you so that you can research on your own. I'm going to do a little post about their signature brand, the Cœur d'Est, which is a fantastic smooth red that any wine drinker is sure to love. So with that said, another toast. And until we meet next time, it's time for me, since it's such a hot day here, to take a dip in the pool. So until then, my friends, cheers, santé, and see you next time.